called New Year's Gypsy Mama. If Caligula and the Marquis de Sade were still kicking it, they could do worse than partying on New Year's Eve or Halloween night in San Francisco. This was certainly true back in the Bacchanalian 90s. I've seen my fair share of both holidays, and yes, Halloween is a holiday. Both as a reasonably innocent newbie and as a jaded big city taxi driver of 10 years. This is right a few years ago. In recent years, the city has sobered up a bit. The ketamine and ecstasy-infused ravers and body-pierced young punk rockers have gotten old, or been priced out, while globe-trotting, techno-libertine, Burning Man nudist, and Germanic love paraders have given way to more conservative Bush-era financial industry hedonists who draw the line with scotch and cocaine. The raw pornography of Hustler magazine has given way to the titillation of Maxim. Whatever worldwide wickedness still flourishes has receded into topical background. Satanists and pagans have been replaced with bad Catholics, lax Presbyterians, and non-observant Jews. There are still plenty of party animals, but no longer do they completely hold the floor. September 11th, childbearing evangelical Christians in the executive branch, 2 wars of dubious glamour, housing bubbles popping, and the potential for global economic collapse have eliminated the Rabelaisian excess of the millennium and replaced it with the more cautious variety of bad behavior. As I've said, I've experienced a number of unholy holidays to the point where I probably don't need to experience any more in a non-coherent capacity. When the object of the party is money-making or anthropological documentation, and not destroying one's own brain, the abdication of adulthood of thousands of loose cannons for which I've had a ringside seat has given my blue-collar lifestyle an occasional juicy shot in the arm. The craziest New Year's I ever worked, I felt like a pinball in my Ford Crown Victoria taxi cab. I bounced from one location to another, dropping off one bubbly, excited crowd of well-dressed or undressed drunks, only to immediately pick up another. Often fistfights were conducted over which mob of people would be allowed to pile into my sedan, ass to face in the back seat, feet extending to the passenger side, an aromatic cloud of top-shelf vodka, Thai food, obsession cologne, sex smells, sweat, European cigarettes, cleavage, exotic costume, and/or disheveled cocktail dress, boorish conversation, scandalous incantations, profane observances of the night's progress. All while some asshole would punch my trunk because I didn't pick him up instead of his friends. Also, there would be random asshole kids who would log eggs at my cab, or drunks who would lob beer bottles at me in the Tenderloin. The whole time, of course, a fat roll of greasy beer-stained bills grew bigger and bigger in my pocket. No time to count. Sure as shit, no time to write down my fares. I had never before or since seen the city like it was that night. Over the course of 10 hours, I must have driven to every single neighborhood in town, and every single one of them was mobbed to capacity. Every street was choked with people. People flowed wall to sidewalk in every block on every avenue, alley and lane, spilling out into the street and every neighborhood. T.S. Eliot's borrowed Dante line entered my fevered mind. I had not thought death had undone so many. The city must have had a couple of million people visiting. Of course, I had a big-time contact high. I figured I'd go to breakfast and buy a late breakfast and buy myself an indulgent meal the next morning to look at all the hungover pretty girls if anything was open. Live 105 was playing vintage punk rock, which surprised me. I almost never heard Black Flag or the Dead Kennedys on the commercial radio, even 15 years after the heyday of American hardcore. I remember the radio was playing Holiday in Cambodia when I picked up a fat lady and her daughters at an out-of-control Soma party. Taradik, your music is very beautiful. But could you please turn it down? Wow, I just picked up a gynecological quote of Dracula. Of course, I said, wanting my bill roll to get bigger. She was, as I mentioned, fat. Her daughters were chubby and had Mediterranean dark-toned skin and spoke with an Eastern European accent. She instructed me to drive to another party that was as insane as the party I picked them up at. We pulled up to an amorphous mob of people who did not respect the sidewalk, and she instructed me to wait. I didn't see her use a cell phone, but she must have, because a number of dark young men in sharkskin suits and snap-rimmed fedoras showed up and handed the woman rolls of bills that were much larger than mine was through the open window of the passenger side door. They communicated in a language that I was not familiar with. When the transaction was over, we pulled away from the party, and the woman instructed me to go to another one. If you don't mind my asking, I asked the woman, what nationality are you? We are gypsies, darling, she told me. It was like that for the next half hour or so. The gypsy woman, her daughters, and myself went from party to party. The same types of snappishly dressed young men would bring her neatly rolled cash money from the magical diamond mine of the crowd. Then we would go to another party where the same thing happened. Whatever her scam was, it was better than mine. All right, we go home now, said the woman after making 5 different parties in the South of Market Zone. Home was up Larkin Street. As mentioned, every sidewalk and crosswalk and every street was mobbed to capacity. The stream of human traffic in the sodium-lit midnight reminded me of the wild overflow of mountain rivers when the spring is getting up to speed. At Golden Gate, the Reaper made his appearance. Actually, I don't know if anyone died there, but by appearances, a lot of work went into increasing the percentage of mortality on the block that ran between Larkin and Hyde. There was absolute carnage. I don't know how it happened in the middle of the three-lane one-way street, but it did. It may have been a shooting, or it may have just been a pileup, but there was freshly wrecked cars all over the street and yellow tape sealing up the whole block. Wired and alert-looking cops and EMTs and firefighters were all over the place, directing the mobs of people back. This, however, was not the strangest thing. High above the torturous heaps, 3 windows up in the apartment wall bordering the street, a young, physically fit, naked man danced in a black light-illuminated window. He looked like a young George Michael. He was not completely naked, for he also wore black gloves that extended past his elbows. They looked like silk. He was dancing with a stone smile on his face, had perfect hair, and had his back to the chaos and death below. We got to watch him for a while, because the cops kept us where we were at, idling at the intersection of Golden Gate and Larkin. Oh, darling, that's beautiful. Oh, yes, shake it, said the gypsy mama. Oh, Mama, don't look, that's bad, said the obviously as turned-on daughters in the back seat. I will look if I want to, darlings. Oh, yes, you are beautiful. Take a picture, darlings. Oh, Mama is in love. Finally, the cops let us move on. I let the woman out in front of a tenderloin fortune-telling place. My roll of bills nowhere as big as any of theirs. Thank you.